My sister demanded Grandma's birthday menu, be vegan or she wouldn't come. But when I brought the food, I'm still reeling and I honestly don't know who to talk to about this, so I'm turning to you guys. I need an outside perspective because my brain is just a tangled mess of anger and guilt right now. This all blew up at my abuela's 80th birthday party, and I'm not sure if my relationship with my sister will ever recover. Let me give you the backstory. There's me, Julia, 29F, and my older sister, Valentina, 34F. I love her. I really do. Growing up, I idolized her. She's magnetic, passionate, and has this energy that just pulls people in. But as we got older, that energy started to feel less like a warm sun and more like a black hole that sucks all the oxygen out of the room. Everything, and I mean everything, has to be about her. The center of our universe, though, is our abuela. She is the quintessential Argentinian grandmother, warm, fiercely loving, and the glue that holds our sprawling family together. Her 80th birthday was supposed to be this huge, beautiful milestone. We planned to host it at her house in San Telmo, the one she's lived in for over 60 years. If you've ever been to Buenos Aires, you can picture it. A classic old house with a central courtyard, walls covered in ivy, the air thick with the smell of jasmine and whatever incredible thing she has simmering on the stove. These family gatherings are sacred. They're loud, full of laughter, arguments about football, and so much food. It's our culture, it's our lifeblood, and for Abuela, having her whole family together is the only gift she ever wants. But with Valentina, together always comes with conditions. For the last decade or so, she's become what I can only describe as a performative purist. She latches onto a cause, which is fine, but she doesn't just adopt it as a belief, she wields it like a weapon. It's not about making the world a better place. It's about making herself the most morally superior person in any given room. One year it was zero waste, the next it was ethically sourced fabrics, and now for the past 2 years it's been militant veganism. The causes change, but the pattern is always the same. She presents a new, rigid ideology and judges every single one of us for not immediately conforming. It makes every family dinner feel like a tribunal where we're all on trial for crimes against her latest principle. I'm not exaggerating when I say this has been, happening for years. I remember Christmas about 5 years ago. Tio Jorge showed up so proud of these beautiful new leather shoes his wife had bought him. He was practically glowing. Valentina took one look at them, let out this theatrical sigh, and spent the next hour talking just loud enough for everyone to hear about the horrors of the leather industry. She didn't talk to him, she just performed this monologue of disgust at him. The room went cold. Tio Jorge just sat there, his face getting redder and redder, trying to pretend he couldn't hear her. He tucked his feet under his chair and didn't get up for the rest of the night. She ruined his gift, his night, just to make her point. Then there was the family asado the year before she went full vegan. She was deep in her ethical consumption phase. She didn't eat the meat, which is fine, nobody cares, but she couldn't just leave it at that. She stood by the perilla, arms crossed, delivering a grim lecture on carbon footprints and factory farming to anyone who dared to grab a choripan. The smell of sizzling steak and chimichurri was literally mixing with her sanctimonious sermon. My dad, who lives for his Sunday asado, just looked defeated. He loves her, but she was turning his greatest joy into a source of shame. You see the pattern? The cause of the day doesn't matter. The method is always the same. She finds a moral high ground, builds a fortress on it, and then lobs judgment grenades down on the rest of us. It's never a conversation. It's an ultimatum, either spoken or unspoken. Conform to my worldview, or you are a bad person, and I will make this event miserable for everyone. It's an insane power trip disguised as enlightenment. The result is that we all started walking on eggshells years ago. There's this constant, low-grade anxiety before any get-together. Who will she target this time? What innocent comment will set her off? What new rule have we unknowingly broken? We censor ourselves. We hide things. My mom stopped wearing her favorite pearl necklace because Valentina went on a tirade about animal exploitation in the jewelry industry. It creates this simmering resentment that we all swallow down for the sake of family unity. We do it for Abuela. No one wants to upset her, so we just absorb Valentina's everything. We placate, we accommodate, we apologize for things that aren't wrong. And my patience, after years of this, was worn down to a single frayed thread. So, when the planning for Abuela's 80th started, that frayed thread I mentioned was put to the ultimate test. Our family WhatsApp group, which is usually just memes from our tios and pictures of my cousin's kids, suddenly lit up. It was a message from Valentina. It read, "Hi everyone. Regarding Abuela's party, I need to make it clear that I can only attend if the entire event is 100% vegan. I can't in good conscience be present at a celebration that involves animal suffering. It's a matter of principle for me, and as a family, I hope you can support me in honoring my commitment to respecting all living beings." The chat went dead silent. You could practically hear the collective groan through the screen. My phone immediately started buzzing with private messages from my mom and my tia. The panic was real. Because this wasn't just about steak. This was about Abuela. Her favorite foods are the opposite of vegan. She dreams of vitel toné, veal with a creamy tuna anchovy sauce, matambre arrollado, a stuffed flank, steak roll, and empanadas filled with beef. Her birthday cake, for as long as I can remember, has been a torta rojal, which is basically a tower of crispy pastry discs held together with a mountain of dulce de leche and topped with Italian meringue. It's her heaven. Valentina knew this. She knew she was holding Abuela's happiness hostage. The ultimatum was clear. Deny our 80-year-old grandmother her traditional birthday feast, or I will break her heart by not showing up. It was the most manipulative, self-centered move she had ever pulled. My mom called me, her voice tight with stress. "Juli, what do we do? I can't tell your Abuela she can't have her cake, but if Valentina doesn't come, it will ruin the day for her." And in that moment, hearing the defeat in my mom's voice, that last thread inside me just snapped. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, resigned sigh. I would fix it. I would absorb the blow, like always. "Mama, stop," I told her. "It's okay. Tell everyone it's handled. I'll cook. I'll do the whole thing. Just tell Valentina the party will be vegan so she'll come." And that's how I condemned myself to 2 straight days of culinary hell. My tiny apartment kitchen became a science lab. I spent a fortune on ingredients I'd never heard of: nutritional yeast, aquafaba, xanthan gum. The sheer effort was immense. I spent 8 hours trying to make a vegan matambre out of seitan, wrestling with a pale, rubbery dough that I had to season and color with about 100 different spices just to make it look remotely appetizing. I stayed up until 2 a.m. on Saturday night, my eyes burning, blending soaked cashews and capers into a creamy, tangy sauce for a no-tuna vitel toné that I prayed wouldn't taste like library paste. I made hundreds of empanadas filled with a mixture of lentils and mushrooms, my fingers cramping from folding the dough. My back ached, my sink was permanently full, and every surface was covered in a fine dust of flour and chickpea starch. But through all the exhaustion, I was fueled by this simmering, righteous anger. This wasn't for Valentina. This was for my Abuela. I was pouring all my energy and love into this food, meticulously recreating her favorites, all to build a bridge over my sister's manufactured drama. I did it all for the sake of peace, to guarantee that Abuela would look across her beautiful courtyard, see her whole family there, and feel nothing but joy. I thought I was being the bigger person, the peacemaker. I had no idea I was just setting the stage for her greatest performance yet. The day of the party arrived, and for a moment, everything was perfect. The sun was shining in the courtyard, my tios were already debating football over a glass of Malbec, and Abuela was glowing. She sat in her favorite wicker chair like a queen on her throne, beaming as she held court. The table was groaning under the weight of my food. The seitan matambre had sliced beautifully, the empanadas were golden, brown, and the no-tuna sauce for the vitel toné was, against all odds, delicious. I felt a surge of pride. I had actually pulled it off. The family was eating, laughing, and no one was complaining. I allowed myself to breathe, thinking maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. Of course, that's when Valentina made her entrance. She was an hour late, sweeping into the courtyard in a linen dress that probably cost more than my rent, looking serene and enlightened. But she wasn't. Empty-handed. She was carrying 3 large, ostentatious boxes from Dulce Vita, a notoriously expensive and traditional bakery in Recoleta, famous for its decadent, butter-laden European pastries. She placed the boxes on the table with a dramatic flourish. "I brought dessert," she announced to the whole courtyard, her voice carrying. "I know you all tried your best," she said, giving me a pitying little smile. "But I just couldn't risk it. I had to be sure Abuela had a truly special, artisan, vegan dessert on her big day, so I had these commissioned." The air went still. My aunt shot me a look. A truly special dessert. The implication hung there, thick and suffocating. My efforts were amateur, my food wasn't good enough, and only she, the purist, could be trusted to get it right. I felt a hot flush of shame and anger creep up my neck, but I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. I did this for Abuela, I reminded myself. Just let it go. A little while later, Abuela, ever the diplomat, wanted to try one of Valentina's special treats. Valentina preened as she served our grandmother a delicate slice of what looked like a lemon meringue tart. Abuela took a small bite, her eyes wide with anticipation. Then her expression changed. She chewed slowly, a small frown forming on her lips. She took a sip of water. "Ay, mija," she said softly, putting her fork down. "It's very heavy, very rich." She pressed a hand gently to her stomach. "My abuela has a slight lactose intolerance, something she's managed for years. It's not severe, but she knows instantly when she eats real cream or butter. That was it. That was the spark. I know that bakery. My friends and I go there for special occasions. Their signature is their buttercream frosting. Their tagline is literally, 'A tradition of butter and love.'" My heart started hammering against my ribs. There was no way. There was just no way they had a secret vegan menu that tasted exactly like their dairy-filled classics. I mumbled something about clearing plates and slipped back into the kitchen. My hands were shaking. I saw the 3 beautiful, empty bakery boxes shoved into the recycling bin by the back door. I pulled one out. My breath caught in my throat. On the side of the box, in small, elegant print, was the ingredients list. I didn't even have to search for it. The words jumped out at me like an accusation. Enriched flour, pure cane sugar, butter, egg whites, whole milk, heavy cream, gelatin. A why, feeling I can't even describe, washed over me. It wasn't just anger. It was a cold, heavy certainty. It was the culmination of years of being belittled, of watching my family twist themselves into knots to appease her, of my own monumental effort over the last 48 hours. She hadn't just lied. She had brought non-vegan food into the party she'd demanded be vegan, passed it off as her own moral victory, insulted my cooking, and then fed it to our grandmother, making her feel sick. All so she could be the hero of the day. My first instinct was primal. I wanted to storm out into that courtyard, hold up the box, and just scream. I wanted to watch her perfect, serene mask crumble. But then I stopped, my hand clutching the cardboard so tightly my knuckles were white. What would happen? She would cry. She would claim it was a mistake from the bakery. She would twist it around until I looked like a hysterical, jealous monster for attacking her and ruining Abuela's party. She would make it all about her. Again. And in that moment, standing in the quiet of my Abuela's kitchen with the damning evidence in my hand, a different idea bloomed in my mind, dark and sharp. No. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a shouting match. I wouldn't give her a scene she could control. I was done playing her game. I was going to build her a beautiful stage, hand her the microphone, and let the whole family watch her burn it all down herself. I walked back into the courtyard, and the rage inside me had cooled into something hard and sharp, like a shard of glass. I was done being the family shock absorber. I was done swallowing her poison to keep the peace. The peace was a lie anyway. It was just a ceasefire that we all paid for with our dignity. My hands moved with a strange, steady purpose. I went to Abuela's antique credenza and took out her best silver platter, the one she only uses for Christmas. I carefully unboxed the rest of my Esil's fraudulent pastries, the eclairs, the fruit tarts, the little cakes, and arranged them on the platter. I made them look exquisite. a centerpiece worthy of a magazine shoot, a sacrificial offering. Then I found a stack of Abuela's beautiful cream-colored place cards and her favorite fountain pen. My heart was a cold, steady drum against my ribs. I sat at the corner of the dining table and started writing. Next to my seitan matambre, I placed a card. Matambre de seitan, harina de gluten, salsa de soja, especias. Next to my empanadas, ay, de lentejas, champiñones, cebolla. I did this for every single dish I had spent 2 days bleeding over. Then I got to the silver platter. I took a deep breath, the smell of ink and deceit filling my nose. I wrote on the final, largest card, copying the words from the box verbatim. Postres, dulce vida. Mantequilla, claras de huevo, crema de leche, gelatina. Butter, egg whites, heavy cream, gelatine. I placed it right in front of the platter. A tombstone. I stood back and surveyed my work. The table looked beautiful, almost festive, with all the little cards. To anyone just walking in, it would look thoughtful, maybe a little quirky. But to Valentina, I knew it would look like a declaration of war. I took a deep breath, pasted a bright smile on my face, and clapped my hands together to get everyone's attention. Hey everyone! Since I put so much work into the food and Valentina brought these amazing desserts, I said, my voice dripping with false sweetness. I thought it would be fun to go around and just say a little something about the dish we're eating, a way to really appreciate the effort, you know? I watched her face. Her eyes scanned the table, flicking from my dishes to her platter, and then they landed on the little white card. I saw the exact moment she read it. The serene, enlightened mask didn't just slip, it shattered. A flicker of pure, animal panic flashed in her eyes before being replaced by cold fury. She let out a short, sharp laugh that had no humor in it. "What on earth is this?" she asked, her voice loud, performative. She picked up the card next to her desserts, holding it between 2 fingers as if it were contaminated. "Julia, are you okay? This is obsessive. Are you cataloging the ingredients for everyone? You have some serious control issues." She threw the card down. "It's an 80th birthday party, not a sterile laboratory. You're making everyone uncomfortable." A tense silence fell over the courtyard. The cheerful chatter died instantly. My Tio put his wine glass down with a heavy thud. Everyone was just looking back and forth between me and her. For a horrible, sinking moment, I thought her deflection was working. My cousin Sophia, who would rather set herself on fire than witness a confrontation, mumbled, "She's right, Julie, it's a little intense." Another cousin chimed in, "Yeah, let's just eat, no need for all this." They weren't defending her lie. They were defending the peace. They were pleading with me to drop it, to swallow the poison one more time for the sake of a quiet afternoon. And in their eyes, I wasn't the one who had been wronged. I was the one making a scene. I was the one ruining Abuela's day. My stomach just dropped. For a second, I felt like the whole world was tilting, the beautiful courtyard spinning around me. The murmurs of agreement, my cousins siding with her. It was like a physical blow. Their faces weren't angry, they were just tired. Tired of the drama. And in that moment, I was the one creating it. Valentina's accusation, that I had control issues, suddenly felt horribly true. I looked at the little white cards, my neat handwriting suddenly looking manic and unhinged. Had I gone too far? Was I really ruining my own grandmother's milestone birthday just to win a fight with my sister? A wave of hot, suffocating shame washed over me. I could feel Valentina's smug victory radiating across the table. She had done it again. She had twisted the narrative so perfectly that I, the one who had been lied to and insulted, was now the villain. The crazy, obsessive little sister who couldn't just let things go. I was about to crumple, to apologize, to clear away the cards and pretend none of this ever happened. I opened my mouth to say, "You're right, I'm sorry, it was stupid," just to make the crushing discomfort go away. But before I could surrender, a quiet sound cut through the tension, a soft tapping of a fingernail on a glass screen. All eyes turned to Abuela. She hadn't said a word. She just sat there looking regal and unbothered and pulled out her phone. My heart hammered in my chest. What was she doing? She calmly navigated to Instagram, her movements slow and deliberate. The silence in the courtyard was so absolute I could hear the buzz of a bee hovering over the jasmine on the wall. She cleared her throat, her voice as clear and steady as a bell. Valentina, mija, she said, not looking up from her screen. I love your food blog. You take such beautiful pictures. Valentina's smile tightened. Thank you, abuela. Yes? Abuela continued, her eyes still on her phone. I particularly liked your post from, let's see, 4 weeks ago. The one about your cheat day at Dolce Vita Bakery. She tilted the screen slightly. You wrote, and this is a direct quote, sometimes you just have to treat yourself to the classics. Nothing in Buenos Aires beats the unforgettably rich, unapologetically real buttercream frosting at Dolce Vita. A true taste of heaven. She looked up, her dark eyes pinning Valentina in place. Unapologetically real buttercream, she repeated, letting the words hang in the air like smoke. The hypocrisy was so thick you could choke on it. The family's collective gaze shifted from Abuela to Valentina. The tide didn't just turn, it was a tsunami. You could see the dawning realization on everyone's faces. The tired annoyance was gone, replaced by a stunned, uncomfortable understanding. Then, my cousin Mateo, who had, been silent until now, suddenly pulled out his own phone. No way, he muttered, tapping furiously. She's right. I remember that post. Oh, and look at this. He turned his phone around for the people near him to see. The bakery's Instagram page has a story highlight called Our Classics. The first video is them making their famous Swiss meringue. It's literally just a huge bowl of egg whites and sugar. Every word was a nail in her coffin. Valentina's face, which had been a mask of smug indignation, was now pale. She looked cornered, her eyes darting around for an escape route, but there was none. The fortress she had built around herself had crumbled to dust, and she was left exposed in the ruins. All my doubt, all my guilt, evaporated. It was replaced by a cold, clear certainty. This wasn't me being crazy. This was me finally holding up a mirror. I felt a strange calm settle over me. I pulled out my own phone. Let's just clear this up for good, I announced, my voice steady. The whole courtyard was watching me now. I found the number for the bakery online and hit dial. A cheerful, pre-recorded jingle started playing. I pressed the speakerphone icon. The tinny music filled the dead silence, a bizarre soundtrack to my sister's public execution. A woman's voice, bubbly and professional, finally cut through the jingle. Dolce Vita, how can I help you? My voice was surprisingly steady when I spoke. Hi there. I have a quick question about your ingredients. I have a family member with a severe dairy and egg allergy, and we just wanted to confirm if any of your signature desserts, like the lemon meringue tarts or the eclairs, are vegan. The silence in the courtyard was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop on the grass. Every single person was frozen, their eyes locked on my phone. Valentina was ashen. Her jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscles twitching in her cheek. The woman on the phone laughed, a light, airy sound. Oh goodness, no! Heavens! No, we're a very traditional French-style bakery. Our tagline is a tradition of butter and love for a reason. We use a ridiculous amount of pure butter, heavy cream, and egg whites in almost everything. I'm afraid nothing we sell would be safe for those allergies. I see, I said, letting the words sink in. So, to be clear, you don't have a secret vegan menu or do special vegan commissions? Absolutely not, she said, still cheerful and completely oblivious to the domestic bomb she was detonating. It would go against our entire baking philosophy. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, I said softly. That clears everything up. Thank you. I hung up. The dead silence that followed was heavier and more suffocating than any argument could ever be. It stretched for what felt like an eternity. Valentina just stood there, exposed and stripped of all her self-righteous armor. She opened her mouth, closed it, and then finally stammered out, her voice a pathetic whisper. They must have changed the recipe. The baker I spoke to told me it was a special order. No one bought it. The lie was so thin it was transparent. You could see the shame and fury warring on her face. And then, Abuela moved. She slowly placed her phone down on the table and reached across, putting her warm, wrinkled hand over mine. She squeezed it gently. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a coronation. It was validation. It was everything. She didn't look at me. Her eyes were fixed on her oldest granddaughter. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the thick, humid air with the sharp finality of a judge's gavel. "Valentina," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Leave the boxes and your attitude at the door, and then you can leave too." Valentina flinched as if she'd been slapped. She stared at Abuela, her eyes wide with disbelief, probably for the first time in her life not getting the last word. She shot a look at me that was so full of pure, unadulterated hatred it actually made me shiver. Without another word, she grabbed her expensive handbag, turned on her heel, and walked out of the courtyard. The sound of the heavy wooden gate closing behind her echoed with a deafening finality. For a moment, nobody moved. And then, it was like a spell was broken. My Tio let out a long, slow breath he seemed to have been holding for 10 minutes. My mom came over and wrapped her arms around me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. And then people started talking, then laughing. The tension didn't just dissipate, it evaporated. It was like a physical weight had been lifted from the entire family. The sun felt warmer, the wine tasted better. The rest of the party was wonderful. Genuinely wonderful. We celebrated our abuela, who was more vibrant and happy than I'd seen her in years. Everyone raved about the food. My food. My cousins went back for seconds, and then thirds, of the seitan matambre. My tios fought over the last lentil empanada. We toasted abuela, and we ate and drank and told old family stories until the sun went down, and the fairy lights my dad had strung up in the ivy began to glow. It was the party she deserved. Things are tense now. It's been a few days. Valentina isn't speaking to me, which I expected. She's also ignoring my mom. But the rest of the family seems to finally get it. My cousin Mateo called me just to say, "Thank you." And my tia told my mom that it was the most relaxing family gathering she'd been to in a decade. So I guess I broke the toxic cycle, but I also might have broken my relationship with my sister for good. I keep replaying it in my head. I could have pulled her aside. I could have confronted her quietly in the kitchen. But I didn't. I was so full of rage, so tired of years of her moral grandstanding, that I chose public humiliation. I wanted her to feel a fraction of the shame she'd inflicted on all of us for so long. I wanted to win. And I did. But I feel this weird mix of vindicated and monstrous. So I have to ask you, Reddit. I know I set a trap for her instead of confronting her privately, but given her history of manipulation, ATA for publicly exposing my sister's hypocrisy at our grandmother's 80th birthday party,